to the Gilbert King Elisa Show.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I hope everybody's having a good morning, a good Saturday, and doing whatever they want to do today. I hope it's a nice day where you are. If not, make it that way. And I've been working pretty much throughout the night, or the morning, but that's part of life. I wanted to get into this topic about having no regrets and versus how to properly use a condom. And this stems from a conversation I overheard when I was on an airplane recently, and I was hearing two women about both in their 60s arguing about not really arguing, but having a conversation about how they had no regrets in their life about when they had children and how they made it into, I guess they were able to raise their kids without a father. They were both single mothers, and they were arguing to see if you really needed a father's presence to raise children. And of course my ears opened up, and I didn't lend anything to the conversation because I think you always have to know when to pick your battles, and that was not my battle. And I think there's always time to add something to a conversation, but it doesn't always have to be when you necessarily feel it. And it can be in whatever respect that you decide that you want to do it in, or whatever medium you decide to do it in, but it doesn't have to be immediate as you feel it. I think as a grown-up you have to know how to hone in you have to hone in your feelings or emotions when you're feeling them, and not necessarily just be reactionary. I think that's how you stay out of a lot of problems that you can get into. So from this conversation, I was hearing two women argue about the relevancy of having a father in a child's life. I was looking for some kind of common denominator to see where they would both agree, and they seem to be having a supportive meeting, a women's group, whatever you want to call it, as to what a child needs when he's young. And one woman was saying that her son just met his father last year, and he realized that he didn't want to be in his life, and he keeps trying to be in his father's life. And the father, who is a lot older now, didn't want any part of that, or is not making the effort to be in his son's life. And she was saying how her son is a lawyer, how her son made it through a lot of things, but he still wants to make an effort to be in his father's life. The other woman was saying that she raised 3 children without a father, and she has no regrets because even though that they didn't have the presence of a father around, they were still able to experience a lot of things that they probably wouldn't have if they had a father around, or they didn't miss out on anything, or they didn't feel like they missed out on anything by not having a father around. At one point they even tagged hands, and they started just feeling elated. This kind of, I don't know what it was, but it felt like there was this confidence going. And said, we did it without a man, we did it without the presence of another adult figure that helped make this child. And another thing that they said that made my ears go up was when they said, we have no regrets about what we did. We have no regrets about how we decided to go about having children, because we were young and we were dumb, and we just and at the time that when we had these children back in the, I guess, late 60s, in the 70s, mid 70s, we didn't. It wasn't customary for people to carry condoms around, and we didn't know anything about that. But one thing that they did say that kind of negates a lot of what they were saying was that the kind of guy that they both got with. You can still see that they were kind of still fawning over the fact that the kind of guy that they got with was the kind of guy that could woo women easily. So one of them, I think the older of the two, was saying how that he had several other kids by several other women by the time she got to her, and he was her first. The other woman, who appeared to be the younger one, but younger, I mean still in her 60s, was saying how, well, he was the best looking thing out there, and he looked so beautiful, and the way that when he would walk into the room, all eyes would be on him. And now thinking about the son who wants to make this effort to go see the father and wants to be in his father's life, did they mention anything about any consideration for wanting whoever this man was to be in their son's life? Or is it something that was just assumed because he helped provide the sperm and she helped provide a place to put it? So that's something that I didn't see a lot of talk about. Well, my son right now is saying that he wants to meet the father, he wants to get closer to the father, but they had no idea of how to make that happen. So that means there wasn't a lot of careful consideration as to what they wanted out of life, other than, well, we just have this carnal biological need that we need filled, and we just want to get it taken care of. But right now they were blaming the guy for having those same needs and not being around. As a child, you have no kind of idea or what a father is supposed to be until you're showed one. Just like you have no idea of what a mother is supposed to be until you're showed one. Whether it's a good one or whether it's a bad one, whether it's a mother that has no interest in her kids or a mother that takes a lot of interest in her kids, you just don't know until you're showed that. And they both said that they were in their, one was in her mid-20s when she had her child. The other one was in her late 20s, almost 30 when she had her child. And I just keep hearing this kind of thing over and over again that, well, we have no regrets as to how we did things. And it's, I don't know how many people would say that if, for example, you were camping and you went to an area where there's signs posted all over the place saying there are bears in this area, so you shouldn't camp here. But you decide to do it anyway. And when you go there, you get attacked, you narrowly survive, but now you have some kind of impairment, but you have no regrets that you disobeyed the signs. So that's the kind of thing that it makes a conversation like this, like the one that I was overhearing, ever that so much special. Just knowing that, well, there were a lot of signs there that these guys weren't the kind of guys that were interested in raising children, especially when they had families before, especially the way that you described them. But there was something about him that attracted him to you that made you want to reproduce with this person. And it's easy to pass judgment and say, well, he had all the control and I had no say in this. But you always have a say in something. You can always be with someone without having to come up pregnant, right? So, and not that pregnancy is the worst thing that can happen, but it could have been diseases, it could have been, and I heard them say that diseases back in the 70s weren't as prevalent as they are now, which is not necessarily true, because even back in, I had conversation with great-grandfathers who were talking about in the early 1900s, there was such a thing as contraception, and they used to use lambskin condoms, even as far back as Jamaica, as far back as Costa Rica. They were using these methods of protection. So they were around. Maybe people didn't talk about it because of religious reasons or for whatever reason. Contraception has always been around. For a while, they were made out of the intestines of certain animals, and so people knew about this before. Now, whether you wanted to use it or not because it felt better, that's something else. Because if you keep hearing the conversation, if you keep letting people talk, you hear that, well, what you said wasn't the case, was the case, because you knew that there was you knew it felt better without a condom, and you knew that perhaps you can become pregnant because everybody knows how pregnancy works, but it wasn't that interesting to you because you just wanted to get down with the person. You wanted to feel everything about the person. You wanted to experience what the person was. So if you have a child already, that's not to say that they're a mistake. Most likely they are, and that you don't feel like they're a mistake now, but there are ways around that. So a lot of things a lot of schools, they will teach a lot of good things, but they won't teach sexual education. They'll teach that how to prevent pregnancy, but they won't actually show you how to wear a condom, how to use a condom. Where do you go and get condom, the different types of condoms, the different types of abstinence. I mean, you can exercise abstinence. You can actually be celibate. You can, which is something that perhaps is one of the better options. Or you can choose to not wear anything at all, but also you leave yourself at risk for diseases and you leave yourself at risk for pregnancy, especially if you have people who are not ready to start a family, which is usually both people when they find out that they're pregnant. So as far as regrets, I don't know about how people feel about carrying condoms. I think in 2017, two people who are laying down with one another, especially if you're in your 20s, you should have condoms readily with you. It doesn't mean that you're some kind of skank or some kind of whore or some kind of player. You have to have condoms with you. And you should have them readily available and take them everywhere where you go, because as I heard these two women talk, once the feelings get going, there's no way to control them. There's no way to use your brakes on an airplane that's already in the sky, as they were trying to make a joke and light up the situation out of something that's perhaps a little more serious than we think. So for further edification, these are some props that we have here. And this is a banana. This is a Chiquita banana imported from Guatemala, Guatemalteco. This is, ladies and gentlemen, if you see a penis that looks like this, the banana is playing the part of the penis today. If you find the penis that looks like this, yellow and is spotted like this, you might want to contact some kind of medical professional, because it should not be this spotted. And some of you might be impressed by the size, but it's not something that you want to be roaming close to you if you have a yellow penis like this. This is a condom. This is a pack of condoms. This is what it looks like. Okay, you go to the store. Don't be embarrassed. The pharmacist at the store or the cashier at the store, he's used to having people come up and ask for this. If you feel like you might be a little embarrassed, you can even order it online. They have places like Amazon and Walmart where you can go and buy one of these. For the purpose of this lesson, this is a crown condom. This is lubricated, and this is a latex condom. You're going to find that some of you are allergic to latex, and you'll find out when you open it and you start tearing up, or some of the lubrication that's already on it, or the spermicide, when you touch your skin, you start to itch, or you develop some kind of rash or hives. You'll know that you are sensitive to latex condom, and you might not want to use it. They also have other kind of condoms that are not of latex material. They're polyurethane condoms, and they're for people who have sensitive skin or any kind of latex allergies. And this, here, I'm going to hold it up. This is a crown condom, latex male condom. They also have a female condom, which the female has to insert into herself. But they do work. They're unless they break, and hopefully you'll know a little bit about your partner before you use it. Preferably their medical history, where you know they're not infected in some way, because in case they break, you might be on the hook for a lot of things you didn't sign up for. But this is a condom. Look at it closely, so you know how it looks like. So a lot of you kids who are out there don't know how to use one. You're going to open, you're going to tear it. It usually has a side that you can tear. Don't start just biting on it like it's, I know you're excited because you want to get down with this person you're with, but don't just start chewing into it. There's usually when you take your time, things tend to go a little better, unless there's a fire in your house and you need to jump from the roof. So you're going to start opening it. You can start opening it from the edges. So See? And these are a little pink. They have a pink color. They're actually a little thinner, but they're actually very strong. And this is what's going to look like. Okay, don't be afraid. You know, it's something that most people use. I don't actually have the data or the numbers for it, but that's a condom right there. And you're going to try to see what side is up. One side's going to have a tip like that. This looks like a small nipple right there at the top. And the way it works is one side, you're going to know what the right side is because the nipple's going to go up. It's going to be filled with a little air. And also you're going to know because it doesn't go the other way when you try to put it on. So here's going to be your banana. Okay? And of course you're not going to use your real banana unless you're into food play. You're going to slip it on like that. You're going to squeeze the top just a little bit. Some people say you have to squeeze it on the way. You don't have to squeeze it on the way. You're going to roll it down like this. Like that. And you want to do it while you're erect because if you have a flaccid penis, it's not going to fit and it's not going to be, first of all, you're not going to be able to do anything. So you're going to have to, so now this banana's covered. You're going to go all the way down. There's no air left in there. You're going to go all the way down and you're going to see the air pockets on the side. You see, and I don't endorse Chiquita banana. It's just for demonstrative purposes. It's all the way in. There's going to be some space depending on how big you are, or if you're not, it's going to just fit right in. But I'm not trying to sexually shame anybody, but that's the way it fits. And then once it's on like that, then let's say this is the female, you're going to insert it like that. And she's going to make some kind of noise, and it's going to, so you have to maintain this motion right here, because if you don't maintain this motion, or you could, turn it according to your preference, because you want to keep your penis hard, because if it's not, it's going to fall off if you're not fitting all the way into the condom, or if she gets very dry, it's going to break, and you're going to see this part break, and then you have a whole bunch of other problems. So the whole objective of it is to keep your penis as hard as possible, usually by engaging the person that you're with. You're going to keep going. You can move a little bit. And now here's a tricky part. Once you finish, once you squirt, once you, like a lot of people say, bust, hopefully she'll finish too, and you hear some kind of noise, like that means you're done, or it's time to pull out now. Sometimes you just want to stay in there for a little longer, but what you want to do is, since now you've finished, you want to hold the condom. You want to hold the condom so it doesn't fall out inside of her and then just leak all inside of her. You want to hold it. You want to hold it, and you want to hold it on, like make a ring so nothing comes out, and you can actually just pull out while you're holding it. Or what you can do is hold it from the other side and just pull out. And once you have it off, you want to roll it down. You want to roll it down. You want to roll it down. You don't want to. And all your semen is going to be inside of the condom. And this is a lot. Guys, don't just, especially if you don't know the person, but even if you do, don't just give it to them to throw away for you. This is when a lot of strange things happen. You want to check to see if there's any tears in the condom. Well, take it off, and you don't want to dirty yourself. You might just want to go to the bathroom and do this. And you're holding it, and you're holding it, and everything's inside there. And woo, you won. So now you have something to throw out. When you're throwing it out, just, some people flush it. I don't know how the plumbing is where you live, so you don't want to clog up anybody's toilet. What you want to do is just find some place to put it. You want to go, and if you see any tears in the condom, one thing that you want to do is you want to, well, first you have to already get checked after that. Another thing you want to do is there's such a thing as Plan B. You can go to your pharmacist, or you can just go to the store and buy it. I think it's about $30, $35, and it's effective for up to 72 hours after you dispose where you didn't need to dispose. So that's the kind of thing that when people say I didn't, I had no control over it, there are a lot of things to control it. There are too many things to control it. So once you do that, and that's, of course, it helps if you have a clear head, you're not high, you're not drunk, you're not in a state where you're completely inebriated that you can't function. And first of all, I don't know why would you be doing it if you're in that state anyway. I don't know what you would be getting from it. But in such a case, yeah, Plan B works up to 72 hours. If it breaks, I think everybody who's used condoms a lot from time to time, you've noticed that sometimes they break and sometimes they don't function as they do. I noticed that the ones that they sell over the counter, like Rough Rider or the small 3-packs of Trojans that they have right behind the counter, a lot of times they break very easily. Even the New York City condoms, I noticed that they break very easily. So what you want to do is stay away from cheap companies like that. I know Prawn is a good one. It's thin and it's also very effective. I haven't had many of these break on me. They also have, but one thing I noticed that sometimes people will have an allergic reaction to this, so you might want to stay away from these. Another company that's pretty good is called Sagami. It's a Japanese company, and it's specialized in making very thin condoms, very thin condoms. And the only thing is that they're very expensive, I guess, because you get more sensational pleasure from it. So they'll end up, for a pack of 12, you might end up paying about $17 or $18. But they don't sell them in stores. You're going to have to order it online. They come in regular size, they come in large, and so far they've been the ones that I've had to use most of the time. And I would recommend them because they have consistent quality, and the feeling is better when you use them. They come in little packets that look like ketchup packets, and they're pretty good for what they're intended for. Another thing is, you want to make sure that you don't store them in a place that can easily get broken. A lot of guys carry them in your pocket, and they get in the way of your keys, and that could interfere with the longevity of your condom. But also, females, you should also have your own condoms that you carry around with you, and not ones that you poked holes into, just ones that are going to protect you from the person that you're with, because most likely you're not going to know him or that much, or if it's someone who you don't think is going to be around for a long time, you might want to use that. And more importantly, talk to your kids about these things. Talk to them about if they're having sex. Talk to them not only why they want to have sex, but how to do it, and just explain to them that it's something that everybody is going to experience at one point. But I think we're getting to a point where kids are having younger and younger, especially in a place like the United States, where probably they should wait a little more, because your families don't know each other like they did in smaller villages or smaller countries, where one person can vouch for another person and say, I know this guy from this place, I know this woman from the other place, and their families know one another. Especially in the age of Tinder and the age of OkCupid, you don't know a lot of people who you're meeting. So that's why it makes it more important to have condoms, to not only put one on, but dispose of them when you're finished with them. Not only check yourself and go for regular visits to your clinic to see if you have anything that you can pass on, or something that you have to keep to yourself, but that's being responsible. Uh, a lot of these blessings of joy are not blessings of joy. They're blessings of people not being responsible. And if you don't think that a child needs his father in his life because you're talking to another person or another woman about it, talk to your son about it. Ask him, what did he need? What did he have? What did what is he still looking for? So that's the kind of thing that you might want to consider when before you have sex with someone. At this point in my life, I most likely will have the same questions with whoever I'm with, but I'm in a different position than someone who's 20 who does not have a regular paycheck or ready to start a family or even can think about it. Even if I'm not, that's why I always wear one of these or something like that. Just because a person says they love you doesn't mean they do. Just because a person says that they care about you doesn't mean they do. Just because you have a penis doesn't mean you have to stick it inside everyone. You should consider yourself selective, not just close off to everybody, but selective with the people that you're with, and value what you have, and value what they have. And two people who value each other can pretty much make responsible decisions. And a lot of these cases, where you see, and even in a lot of these schools, their products, you see a lot of products of people who value the act of getting a child, but not the actual act of parenting a child. So, with that being said, I hope you learned something, or you can pass this on to someone. I know you probably weren't thinking about this on a Saturday morning, but I kind of think about these things every day when you have people asking questions or people having conversations and saying that they have no regrets about how their life turned out. It's not about having regrets. It's making about the best decision possible for your life. And if you're ready in this situation, you don't want to step deeper into a hole. You want to know that, hey, the best way to get over the fact of the regret of having one kid is not having 5 more. No, it's working with the kid that you have. And if you decide to partner up with someone and marry that person and decide that you want to have some kids in the future, by all means do it. But the time to decide that you don't want to be a parent is when you actually become a parent. So thank you, and have a good Saturday. I'll be back with some other videos a little later. Time for breakfast.